Hello and welcome to Capes, Cowls, and Crusaders. I'm Kat, joined by Ernesto and
Hi.
his furry friend from hell.
Still trying to get a name for him. I was trying to land on Marcel, but every time I try to come up with a name, his mood changes a bit. Well, you've met him before.
I like where the picture is right now. It looks like your little furry friend is the top half of the Adam West Batman on our background picture.
Yeah.
uh, so, couple new movies came out this week. Um, one was the new Pixar movie Hoppers,
Mm.
and that was a pretty good original movie for that they've done in a long time. First one they've done in a long time that was pretty good. Uh, I'd say I'd put it at the top of their mid-tier films. I had the best single gag in a Pixar movie that I laughed so hard at and for quite a while. Uh, Fortunately, I was seeing it as an early time, so there weren't many kids in my screening because I just kept thinking it was hilarious. Um, I don't know. It was fun. It was original. Disney's already capitalizing it at one of their parks, uh, as expected. Um, so I'm teetering between like a maybe like a 3.7 out of 5, uh, around there. Um, Another movie that came out that Scott was supposed to be here to talk about. I don't know if he'll show up. Hopefully, will was The Bride by Maggie Gyllenhaal. This is a movie I feel like I've been seeing trailers forever. I frankly haven't really been impressed with any of the trailers because most of them are just Jesse Buckley screaming and looking weird, saying, "Here comes the mother effing bride." And the last trailer looked like a good music video, and I think it would have made a better music video than movie because you're waiting for that intense, energetic "Here comes the mother effing bride" movie to start, and it never really does. Multiple characters all seem to be in different movies. Even one of the detectives chasing them and his partner feel like they themselves are in two separate movies. It just never really takes off, and it's like we've seen the motif done before where, oh, you think you've heard the story of blah blah blah, oh, you haven't heard anything yet. And it's like that's been done before, and it's usually to mixed results, but at least you have fun with it. Here I didn't feel they had much of a story to tell. Like even on the press junket they weren't really selling the movie so much as talking about the costumes and stuff. It's like, okay, that's great, but you didn't have any zany crazy stuff going on in the movie for a movie whose trailers tried to lean into the notion that you're going to be in for a crazy wild ride. And yeah, it's the whole feminist thing where, oh, take charge and that kind of stuff, and the difference between choice and fate and stuff like that. Uh, but it doesn't. It just. I was like, it's not really doing much of anything, and that was a shame. I mean, Christian Bale and Jesse Buckley were pretty good. At times they're in a Bonnie and Clyde movie. At other times they're like little kids watching stuff in a movie theater, and then they're just kind of dancing in a nightclub and just a bunch of weird shit. And then, oh yeah, Peter Sarsgaard is the detective trying to follow them, and because his partner in uh, his detective partner is Penelope Cruz, which was kind of wild for the casting. His role is to basically pretend to be a jerk when they're talking to other cops because he knows the other cops are going to be like sexist towards her, but she of course is the smarter one who knows how to really get the job done. And it's like, okay, this feels like you're in a different movie too. It's like, what are we trying to do here? So it was ultimately very disappointing, not an exciting movie, and when it ends, it feels like it's just kind of a somewhat mediocre predict. It just kind of ends. It's like, okay, the climate. It didn't feel like it was ever building into anything. There wasn't really much of a climax per se. It's like, okay, here we are. So I guess the first big disappointment of the year. I usually like it when a movie doesn't over advertise what it's going to be. Like I remember the trailer for The Martian I saw. I don't know which trailer it was, but it basically told you the whole movie from start to finish, and I hate trailers like that. But it's another thing when your trailers tell you absolutely nothing, and I think it's because there really was nothing here to sell, which is too bad. So I gave that like 2.5 out of 5. Maybe it would feel a lot lower for other people.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bentley the cat.
Yes. Hello.
He wants to be a cat. He wants to be nosy. I mean, I
Meow.
do be nosy sometimes. I am.
Yeah, watch as he touches on your keyboard and you get knocked off the stream by the cat.
Hey, if it happens, it's content, right? Yeah.
Hail FKHC 2005. Thanks for being here. He announced, he says BBC just announced that they found 2 missing Doctor Who episodes. Interesting. Which actor, Doctor Who? Which era are we talking about there?
Yeah, anything Disney will probably be getting people's attention.
Yes. Oh, hey, Lemon Pie. Nice to see you. Yes, the black cat's name is Bentley. Yeah, I guess that was. Oh, and another thing I did watch last night because they just dropped on Hulu this week was the Jafar Patani's film. It was just an accident, which he's the Iranian filmmaker who's been jailed multiple times for making movies with regime hates.
I've heard about
it. This one was submitted by Azerbaijan, and the premise is that these Iranian political prisoners who've since been freed. One of them runs across the guy that he's convinced was his jailhouse tormentor, and he kidnaps him on impulse and is going to bury him alive in the desert. But the guy insists that he's not him, and he figures that, well, we were all blindfolded, but his voice is identical. He's got a prosthetic leg that's just like the one the other guy had. And how many jailers have prosthetic legs? And he's got the squeakiness in his shoes sound the same, but he's still not sure. So he goes to seek out other people who are also in the same jail, and it becomes like this strangely comic odyssey of sorts where it gets like absurd humor, which you wouldn't think would be in a movie like this, as each character is dealing with a different level of trauma over the incident. Classic morality play. A great ending, but also an ending that we've seen in multiple other movies but I don't want to spoil it because otherwise you'll know exactly the ending I'm talking about. I give it 4 out of 5 because, it's a thing that's been done a lot before, but it was done well. I was completely intrigued. My mind never wandered. I wasn't tempted to pick up my phone and start scrolling or anything like that. Admittedly, I would be interested into the psychological fallout of the end after the ending of the movie that you don't get to see. But he continues to be the world's bravest filmmaker. So kudos. That was a good movie. In the United States, it's currently streaming on Hulu and available for digital rent and purchase at other redemption sites.
Yeah. I didn't see that movie, but I did see Hoppers and The Bride back to back.
Oh, okay.
I believe I started with Hoppers and I finished with The Bride. And I kind of wish I would have flipped it because sometimes whenever I do a double feature, there's a little voice in my head that always tells me how to pick which ones to start with. It's kind of like picking dessert versus your entree. But in this case, I felt like I had to, I started with the steak, but then I realized the steak with The Bride, I feel like I ordered I started with dessert first with Hoppers, and then with The Bride, I got the steak, except the steak was very small, and whatever was left on the plate was a lot of peas, and you know how it is with peas. You can only stomach it for so long. Hoppers was a breath of fresh air for the Pixar brand, only by way of they committed to every bit that they were striving for. Like they didn't shy away from it. They were playing with very different genres, very different tones, all in a very hyper realized, condensed environment that is a local city forest, because that's where it is. It's a local city forest. And there's no real villain except a third act villain that comes in, but it's built up in a way where it doesn't come out of nowhere because it's already set up. But when the movie starts with Hoppers, you're thinking one thing, but as it's already being presented to you, it's like, oh, this isn't what it's supposed to be, because the mayor of the city, which is voiced by John Hamm, I believe, he and, what is it, Riley? Was it Riley?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Riley. Is it Riley? Yeah.
Yeah, Riley.
Yeah, he and our lead hero, they have a good relationship. Like, they are at odds with each other, but it's not like, I hate you so much, I'm going to destroy everything you're trying to build, and I hate you so much, I'm going to jail you every single time. No, She's passionate about protecting the environment, and he's passionate about delivering for his constituents. It's just that they both don't agree on the methods. Now, as an adult, because we have to be adults here, I agree with the mayor to an extent because he has a responsibility to the city. And Riley, while I totally admire anybody that wants to go out there and fight for the environment, fight for the animals to not be displaced, she has a terrible approach to it. She she feels like she should be throwing boulders at people rather than actually sitting down to talk with them. Now, does she try doing it? Yes, but she's very impatient. She's very impulsive. And yes, that's how young people are. But the way the movie frames it, even from the first time we see her as a little kid, she's a little terrorist. And I'm just like, man, you are glad that Pixar, for all they push the envelope on some things, especially with Up, when they did that whole introduction, they made everybody weep in the first 5 minutes. I would have been more surprised if they actually had mom come in and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" I felt like it was justified at this because she bit someone in the movie, and that can get you expelled these days if you bite someone. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, Jesus, kid, all right, it's just a pet turtle for the class. Did you think about your classmates if they're gonna miss the turtle or not? Come on.
But the reason she did that was because they knocked it upside down and it couldn't get over.
I know. I get where she's coming from. I'm just saying that she's not thinking in the wide picture. Even when she's a young adult, she's not thinking the wide picture. But the thing is that once they start, and she gets into the avatar of the beaver that she's inhabiting.
It's nothing like Avatar.
Yeah, I hate that fucking joke because I'm like, we get it. You fucking own Fox and all its properties. Jeez, the circle jerk is real. But it's like, also, I hate it when they reference real movies in these types of movies because it feels like, oh, okay, so that movie exists in your universe. Okay, so can you explain these other movies then? Because
I kind of felt like that was more of their simplistic way of trying to explain the technology rather than getting into it. Rather than getting into an exposition-heavy gobbledygook crap, let's say, "Oh, it's like Avatar," because most people, even if they don't like it, they'll know what that means.
Yeah, but no. Once she got in there, they were off to the races, and they never stopped to explain anything. They're going for it, and even the stuff that they don't explain, there's enough in there for you to digest well enough that you are with it. Because if it stops to explain something, and even though it does explain the hierarchy of things, because of course, at some point you need to explain certain things, what they don't explain, it works in the movie's favor because it doesn't give you enough time to kind of like sit and think about it because it's throwing you a curveball at any sense. And I so agree when we reach the halfway point, and I'm in a packed theater, okay? I'm in a packed theater. It's the halfway point, and at least 60% of the movie theater is full of kids that are struggling with theater etiquette. You know, they don't have the bandwidth to know what theater etiquette is. And the moment we get to the moment, everybody went, everyone just went.
Yeah, I'm just laughing my ass off.
In a second after it happened, and it just registered, like what? I immediately went like this. Damn! I was the first person to talk, and then I just went like this. And then everybody felt like they were allowed to laugh because you're just like, wait, you can do that? Are we? And the thing is that stuff like this, we've seen it in movies before. Don't get me wrong. And when you see the movie, you'll know what we're talking about. I don't want to give it away. We've seen these happen before. We've never seen it like this in a Pixar movie like that. Tell me, in your bingo card of movie twists, was that ever going to pop up in your feeds? No. And that was the moment where I'm just like, oh, we're in for a treat. We're in for it, people. I mean, yeah, we're like the halfway point here at this moment because we're about to really, the shit's about to hit the fan right after. But at that moment, it's just like, okay, I've had a few laughs and everything, but I felt like there was no oomph. And that's the thing that Pixar is very good at. They have this extra oomph that separates them from the rest of cinema. And when we got to that point, I'm just like, Welcome back, Pixar. Where have you been, baby?
I know,
Now,
it's
do I
like
think the ending was a little too simplistic? Yes. But everything that came before it makes up for the shortcomings of the ending and how quickly they tried to put in a little bow. And yeah.
and King Beaver was my favorite character.
I swear to God, when we got to the last 30 minutes and they were supposed to find the apex predator, I swear when I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, at this point, if this was any other scenario, I would have said you jumped the shark, but you've never seen the shark be jumped the way this
Yeah.
before, where I'm just like, I should complain about this, but I can't find a legitimate reason to find why it shouldn't work. That's the beauty of that scene. It shouldn't work, and it's working.
Well, it
And it's
shouldn't
very
physically work either.
yeah, and it's very self-referential. It's not only referencing movies from before, like a Hitchcock movie with the birds and stuff like that, but it's also referencing other franchises, even within their own franchise wheel.
Right, Bruce. That's the first
Exactly,
thing I
Bruce.
thought. Oh gosh,
You
but
think they're
that
related?
was
You think they're related?
probably
Probably.
Diane. But I remember the one time she does. Mabel was her. Oh no, it's right. Her name's
Mabel. Yeah,
Mabel, not
no, it's
Riley.
Mabel. You're correct. It's Mabel.
Forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Riley was
Not
somebody else.
Riley. Mabel. Riley is from Inside Out. That's my
Oh,
mistake.
that's it. Okay. So the one time Mabel does ask the King Beaver, hey, wait a minute. You said you love everybody and everybody's got to get along and stuff, but then you just eat anybody alive whenever you need to. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't always work out. We just kind of roll with it, which is his way of telling you, don't think about it. Just go.
Yeah, because realistically, I mean, this is like the perfect example of Noah's Ark in a way, because they're all supposed to survive, but in order for them to survive, they have to, their entire ecosystem has been shrunk exponentially. And they all have to kind of deal with the ramifications of that. And you're thinking, oh, well, they're going to coexist like the Lion King. No, not like the Lion King. I mean,
that Lion King joke was pretty funny too.
Yeah, yes, exactly. They do make a reference to the Lion King, to the where I'm just like, wait a minute, this sounds like, hey, again, the circle jerk, Jesus.
That one was also kind of funny though. When he's
again, I agree, it was funny, but I'm just like, God damn it, this works. It's you know what it reminded me? It reminded me of Parasite, the 2019 movie Parasite, where Parasite was also juggling so many different types of tones and genres within itself. That's what this movie reminded me of. It's getting away with every single one, and it all exists in the same world, and you never question it, even when you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So it was a breath of fresh air. Not to say that the ones that came before, even pre-pandemic, I'm not saying they were bad, but they were just missing that little spark, and this one had it, and I liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think that's what I rated it on Letterboxd. It was a good movie.
Yeah, and it took me it took until I think it was until that halfway point, because the Mabel character was very, very sour. She like again, I get, but the way the movie is framing her at the beginning is just like, man, if you don't calm your ass down, this is not going to work out the way it's supposed to. And the movie kind of shows it, like, yeah, this is what happens when you jump the gun.
Well, she was also very high energy, like Elio in last year's film, just bouncing off the walls constantly. I'm like, oh, it's going to be another one of those. But then this one actually made it work.
Yeah, it pulls the rug under her, but it does it in a way where it's just like, okay, you know what? Now I like you. Where in other movies, you still don't like the character because, like, yeah, you brought this on yourself, you little shit. That's the thing. It's like, like, this is not the first, like, it's kind of like one of the most overused trope is the liar discovered, basically, because she basically lied about what she was trying to do. Now, I think everybody was a little bit too harsh on her for it, because it's just like, hey, I'm trying to save you guys, but I have to manipulate to do it. So I kind of got where she was coming from, but let people have their moments of feeling, a slight betrayal. But in other moments, I'm just like, no, when she started, I really did not like the way this character was coming across. And then once she gets into the beaver body, then she starts to like pull those layers, and then she gets the proverbial stick out of her ass, because she didn't really stop to think about her next action. She was just wanting to break the sink without actually looking at what the problem is.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good. I recommend it. Go watch it. Like this is a movie for everybody. And if you and the older you are, the better you are for it, because the halfway point, the kids can get that because a lot of jokes go over the kids' heads. But if you can get the kids' attention, like the attention span of most kids, if you can get them to stop and be like, you're doing something right. And as far as the bride, here we comes my little 2-ounce steak and the rest of the
Mhm.
the steak. For as long as I had it, I like the way the movie looks. I like the cinematography. I like the setting, the period. I said that the Roaring 20s, I believe, right? The Roaring 20s or entering the 30s.
1936.
1930. Okay, so it's like the mid to late 30s. It's still in that, abandoning the 20s, and you can kind of see a little bit of the 20s in some of the attire, especially the one they give the bride. Penelope, was it? Yeah. And so I like the costumes. I like her design. That kind of made me wonder. And I'm gonna have to look this up because I don't know it for a fact. I don't even know if it's true. I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking out loud that once the bride is brought back to life and she gets named the bride, I swear at some point I wonder if Warner Brothers wanted to hire Lady Gaga for the role because it looks tailor made for her. Like just the way she's always like the way they design her looks like something out of a Lady Gaga costume
Mhm.
that she would normally do. And there was just something about the way Jessie Buckley was framed at one point when she's down in the club in the movie when she's hanging out with Frankenstein, where I'm just like, I wouldn't be surprised if Lady Gaga was considered for this role because there was some stuff that she was doing that is almost tailor made to Lady Gaga's personality as a performer when on stage and off stage, where I'm just like, something to look at later. But I liked Jessie Buckley in the role. I like just it's very unique. It's not like the previous versions we've had of the Bride of Frankenstein. They're doing something new. She doesn't have like the long two black hair with the white in the middle. I mean, but the hair is designed in a way to kind of emulate that burnt up curly, what happens when you put electricity to the hair, it gets a little fritzy. I like the design of Christian Bale as Frankenstein, and I like his acting, and I like that childlike mentality that he does have. He's very polite, but he's also, he he gets himself into trouble, unfortunately. And ironically, this movie is kind of like a Frankenstein's monster. It's got a lot of pieces here and there, and it doesn't know. And I'm pretty sure at some point there was a report that was coming out even before the movie was supposed to originally be released in October, when it was last year, when it was Warner Brothers practically their banner year with all their movies just hitting well, not all too nice, but the majority of their movie, like 9 out of 10 of all their movies, were hitting A pluses, one after the other, critically, financially. And they pulled The Bride out of the release schedule, which was supposed to be in October. And there were some concerns that the movie needed to be re-edited or they were trying to make it more digestible. And I'm thinking, okay, I mean, what does that mean? Like they're not really saying what's going on with it. And I feel like they needed to cut some of the rotten parts of the movie because they didn't know whether it wanted to be a self-exploration of the human psyche or a suffragette movie or a Bonnie and Clyde inspired movie. There were moments where I was thinking of the Joker, Folia Adu, in this movie, where I don't know if it was intentional or it just happened to be that the movies were so close to each other from when they came out that they're very similar in a way with the dynamics of the Harley Quinn and Joker uh behaviors and everything. There was this love angle subplot that came out of nowhere with the what's his name with the Skarsgård character, where I'm just like, I would have liked this, but this is not the focus, and it just comes like
Yeah.
at the last minute, where I think you could have really cut it out completely, and you could have probably you know what? Because they were going for the Bonnie Clyde actor, you could have gotten rid of the detective angle and just focused on just the police chasing them, and that's it. And there were other stuff about inspiring copycats, which again felt very similar to the Joker with
Yeah, when that
Joaquin.
whole montage happens, I thought, "Wait, are we already at the end of the movie?" But then no, it continued, but it felt like that, you know?
And then who's the actor that plays the main mob boss? I forget his name. He
Yeah,
played
he
the
yeah, he was he's been in a bit lately. He was just in
yeah.
Wonder Man.
My
He was in
God! Finally,
Superman.
somebody told him to comb his fucking hair. He
But that
actually
was
looks
another
human.
storyline. That was another storyline where they kept mentioning him, and it's like, hey, we haven't seen this guy, and it's like the story feels like it's so far away from whatever relevance that has. But even he's sending guys after him who are so far behind in the chase. It's like, does it really matter? Uh, I
He's
can't see
hiding
where.
over there. He's right
Where?
there. He's right there.
Oh, against the cabinet. Okay.
Yeah, look at his beady eye. He's
Oh,
just
I
like, I'm
see
just
him
gonna
now.
hide
Yeah.
right here. he's
Uh,
adorable. He's adorable. Yeah,
and yeah, that storyline didn't really go anywhere, and the detective storyline
yeah.
didn't go anywhere, and the like I thought something big was going to happen of her finding out that Frank is constantly lying. Oh yeah, we were together before. You were just in an accident. You know, you're not dead.
Yeah.
But no,
But
it didn't.
yeah,
eh.
there was potential. There was potential. It didn't fully realize it. Acting was great. Cinematography was fantastic. Costume designs. I like the musical number. I like how they kind of like were jumping back and forth between those type of different genres. But as a whole, it kind of feels like one of Dr. Frankenstein's failed experiments. It it they breathed life into it, but at the end of the day, there wasn't enough juice to keep it alive, and then it just started fumbling its way, and then you just put it out of its misery. And it's kind of a shame because there was like a lot of potential here. So I would give it like some somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 and 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's wasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I, the way we were looking at it, there was like two very strong narratives they could have followed: the Bonnie and Clyde aspect, and you could have done the suffragette aspect as well. Because her character was one of many victims, and you can explore the victimhood with the feminism, and that's fine. And you can use the Bonnie and Clyde aspect to kind of like push, hit it with the hammer, like, hey, she's a force to be reckoned with, and she's got a guy that's near immortal, and he's going to help her achieve that goal because he's so whipped because he wanted her in the first place. He's going to go along with whatever she wants to do. And then it's also about discovering who she is. That could have also been a main storyline because she knows who she was before she got killed and then brought back to life. And then the entire movie, they're telling her who she is, but she's trying to figure out, well, that doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It just
that whole thing with the author jumping here and there.
I
I'm
couldn't
like,
stand that.
in any other scenario, that would have been great, but you're doing too much at that point. Even though that's how it started, you're doing too much at that point,
And
I
that doesn't
feel.
even make sense because it's like, okay, Mary Shelley wrote it in 1818. She went on to live quite a long time, and she's like in the open, she's like, I've been here, ever I died, I've been here centuries. Like actually, it's even significantly less than that, less than even a century, like less than 50 years, even. Because the
Yeah.
story's set in 1936. What are you talking about? And it just felt too cheesy, and because every time Mary Shelley kind of takes over the bride's body, she says this deep literary stuff that doesn't have any context to what she's doing. I'm like, what is this? And it
Well,
just,
we call that Tourette's.
yeah, yeah, it kind of felt that way. And it didn't, I thought that was just a really cheesy, I didn't like that cold open and thought that was just kind of, eh.
I think if you
And the
were to
way, and it's like Mary
do
Shelley, for her to say, for another character to say that is one thing, but for the character of Mary Shelley to say, oh yeah, Frankenstein, and be kind of shutting it down as being very dismissive about the quality of that book, saying, "Oh, this is the real story." And it's like,
yeah,
really, this
she
was the
said
real
that
story.
she said that the character portraying her, when she said that, I'm just like, oh no,
Yeah,
oh no. Where have we read and seen that before, Kat?
I mean, with the author literally saying it.
With the author literally, well, not literally like that. This is the story we were meant to say, or this is the story I was meant to write, or this is a story you didn't know. Like, we've heard that before.
Yeah,
And most of the time that falls on its head because, okay, then tell us a story. Oh, that's all you got? Because that's usually what the result is. Really? That's the story. That's the story you want to tell, not the accolades you got for the original story you wrote, especially you, a woman in that era. Come on,
Especially when you
really?
consider there's already a sequel of sorts, The Bride of Frankenstein, which is an excellent movie. And
Yes.
not just like 30s horror. That was a really great movie and a great story. Uh, and they're like, you can't even live up to that. It's like, really? It's like, I couldn't. That's why I wonder what the studio meddled with, or what they, if they took something out or they put something in. I don't know. It just,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but this movie was already in development and it was being filmed before Pam and Mike DeLuca got involved, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, so they probably try to salvage whatever they could because they could have probably did a tax write-off like they did with the other movies that Zaslav put
Yeah.
on the show. But they, hey, credit to them. They had a banner year. They thought that they could maybe make this one work, but clearly, it's going to be, you're either going to like it or you're not. I'm in the middle where I'm just like, I liked how it started, didn't like where it went.
Yeah. I mean, other than the cold open, I was on board with it for like maybe a little bit, and then once they decide they're gonna run away together. I mean, I thought that was funny when, especially when they're in when he's telling her that no, you don't want to deal with the angry mobs and the torch and all that kind of stuff. And then in New York, when the mob in the middle of New York City of all places actually has torches and pitchforks, I just started laughing because okay, I guess a good joke.
You know what the dumbest thing about all that was? When they're at the gala and they're trying to be,
Yeah,
hiding or being nonchalant, and then Christian Bale has his moment. Which, by the way, the buildup did not match the result of all that.
right.
The first person to break through the door is this guy wearing 3D glasses.
Hmm.
Excuse me? What? You're part of a mob and you're running around wearing 3D glasses.
Yeah.
I was like, take that shit off. Get your boy. Take that shit off. Yeah, so those are the movies we saw. I was supposed to watch two other ones, but I'm going to start them tonight. And then, because there's a new movie that came out on Netflix, and there was a new movie that came out on Prime. So I'm going to do those. One is the Alan Ritchson action movie that's on Netflix, which I don't have any expectations it's going to be great, but I'm on an Alan Richman high, so I want to see where he goes with this. It kind of feels like you're combining Predator with Terminator, because they're here's the tagline with that. There's only been one trailer. Here's the tagline with that trailer, and I forgot the name of the movie, but basically, it's a weapon that was built to be unstoppable, and then the entire time, the weapon is unable to kill the lead actor. It's one of those things where I'm just like, wow, really unstoppable weapon, huh? You can't kill the main actor, huh? And then the other one is with Carl Urban and Priyanka Chopra, where it's set in pirate era type of genre, and it's a very high octane action movie where I'm just like, oh, it's one of those movies, very fictional. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't have Netflix or Prime, so I won't be watching any of that. But
I'll talk about them for the next episode.
I might watch The Secret Agent tonight.
Oh, with
Wagner
nice.
Moura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of sharks, you'll know what I mean when you get to it.
All right. FKC specifies that the Doctor Who that they found the episodes from was the first Doctor, and that actually makes sense because they lost. They lost a majority of the episodes of those because they used to tape over the tapes, because they never thought those were ever going to become anything. So
Yeah.
that's
a lot of long running series back then. Everybody always said the same thing. Yeah, they taped over the originals because nobody thought there was ever going to be any monetary value in reruns.
Yeah. Lemon Pie says cat squared for the two cats. Yes, that's fun. There was a bit of Batman news that came out today. I'm not sure if you saw it. I sent you the article.
Did. I wasn't even. Maybe I blacked it out. Did we know that he was being circled for casting?
I didn't, but I do know that 3 months ago, all the trades were reporting that Brad Pitt was being circled for a role, and he turned it down. And then
Oh.
And in addition to that, this article says Stellan Skarsgård turned down this role, and now
Hmm.
apparently Daniel Craig has turned it down. Not supposedly because he didn't like it, but because he's going to do a Damien Chazelle movie instead. But the role is supposedly Harvey Dent's father, Christopher Dent.
Ooh.
And
Oh.
and they gave and because we're only 2 months away from the start of production, they gave a brief plot synopsis that they got a hold of, which says Batman Gordon and Harvey Dent have this uneasy alliance going as they're trying to take down the mob, as well as a new serial killer in Gotham City. But again, take that a little bit with a grain of salt.
I wonder if they're going to bring in the Dollmaker.
I don't know, but again, take it with a grain of salt because the studio and Matt Reeves have not officially announced a premise yet.
I think you need a grain of salt. Are you okay?
Yeah, I've been popping these little cough drops, but because it's kind of surprising. Usually, you hear a little bit more about this type of stuff when you're getting this close to the filming to begin, and we haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, but I was a little taken aback because I did not hear anything about Craig, Skarsgård, or Pitt. The last casting news we heard about that made the rounds was Scarlett Johansson and Bucky himself, Sebastian Stan. Which now that you bring it up, then Sebastian Stan would be what, Harvey, or he's supposed to be Harvey,
presumably and, Harvey, and
I can, you know what? I can totally see Daniel Craig playing the father and whipping him to the side, which would kind of explain where he gets his angry attitude.
I do remember that Plan B was one of the producers on the film, I think, and it was confirmed that they were talking to Brad Pitt and circling him for a role back in December, and he turned it down. So, I mean, it makes sense to him, and Stellan Skarsgård is actually considerably older than Brad Pitt. By I think another 15, 17 years older, and Daniel Craig is.
And yet, Brad Pitt, no matter how old he is, he does not look his age.
Oh yeah, and then Daniel Craig just had his birthday. He's only 58, I think, so he's a little younger than. He's like 5 years
the dude was in his. Yeah, the dude was in his early 40s when he did Troy.
You're right. He was 40.
Either in his late 30s or
39 probably when they were filming it.
Yeah, and tell me, would you look at him in that movie and think to yourself, "Oh yeah, he's 40"?
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's genetic. I mean, that's impressive on a genetic level. Because if he started at 39 and when it came out he's in his 40s, I'm like, bro, damn, god damn, man, you hit the lottery.
Yeah. So that was casting news for that. But there's still heavy rumors that Jeremiah Arkham's going to be in it, and I wouldn't be surprised because I don't think Matt Reeves decided to make Martha Wayne in Arkham for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, he's drawing from the most recent comic books that have come out where they were leaning into Martha's side of the family, which it was always Thomas Wayne's side of the family, and Martha Wayne was always, no offense to the people who have written stories with the Waynes or anything, but when it came to the Waynes, especially Mom, you always knew her because she was the one with the pearls. That was all you knew about Martha Wayne. It wasn't until the last 10, maybe 15 years in comic book history that they were starting to slowly give her last name. Her maiden name was Martha Kane, but she's also in other storylines in Arkham. So it depends on which one you're going with. With the Batman series, they're going with the Arkham storyline because in the main story comic book, she's a Kane. And Bruce is cousin to Kate Kane, who's Batwoman. So it depends. But considering the storyline that they were doing in the first movie, which they drew considerably from the first 2 volumes that we're going to be discussing the third one right now, that's the storyline that they're going to approach. So yeah, we're going to get more Arkham-centered family drama.
Yep, and that is a great segue.
Family, Bruce, trust me.
And that is a great segue for the comic we're talking about tonight.
Indeed. Batman Earth 1, Volume 3.
Yes, currently the latest issue or volume in this Odyssey of Batman stories. You begin this one.
Well, can I just say that Gary Frank just ages like fine wine when he does his art?
Hmm.
I feel in this one, it looked a lot more sharper. The colors were a little bit more vibrant. It kind of felt like with the first two, you get typical quality when it comes to Gary Frank, but for this one, especially with the first tease of Batman shrouded in fire, I'm like, oh, we're in for a show tonight, folks. This one carries over where we finished off with Volume Two, where Waylon Jones is now part of the Bat family in a way. He's Team Batman. He has this very love-hate relationship with Alfred, which I love. It is adorable seeing like we know who Killer Croc is. Anyone who knows Waylon Jones, we know who Killer Croc is. But just seeing him standing side by side, Alfred, a very Clint Eastwood, I hate everybody type of persona. And then you have a guy with a bad skin rash, essentially, and he looks like a crocodile. And they can't stand each other, but they also find something to bond over. I love the creative decision behind that. They're constantly giving each other shit, no matter what, and it's the brevity that this series needed. I think because the first two books didn't have that much brevity, it had a bit of tongue in cheek here and there. That's fine, but this one I think had the funniest moments, and it was because of those two characters. So I love that pairing very much because this is also an Alfred that you're not used to seeing. He's more brash. He's he's less milk chocolate. He's more dark chocolate in this iteration of the character. He would rather shoot someone in the face with a shotgun than actually, keep him alive for the next serialized story, basically. So
Like in the
that's the
first
kind
one.
of exactly, yeah. And then we're following up with the Dent storyline, since we brought it up earlier, with the sister Jessica Dent. And Gotham City is, there's an excerpt where the talking heads are saying that, well, crime has been going down in Gotham, but the violence has gone up. Which, how the hell does that make sense if you think about
Yeah.
it? If the violence is going up, then crime hasn't gone down. They're doing criminality. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? They brought a rocket launcher. Yes, crime. There you go. You got a permit for that. Um, but then we get the introduction or the reintroduction of Catwoman is in this series, which not my favorite of the Earth One reiterations of the character. I feel like they were going for a Cheshire Cat kind of design with her because everything around Batman, especially with the setting and all the people that he's surrounding himself with Waylon Jones, Alfred, and stuff like that, everybody looks like they're shrouded in black, blue, and green, and she's the only one that comes in with color. So maybe that's where the thinking was with her design, but I feel like they should have kept it very simple, unless you're too old to be wearing something like that, basically. Like unless the character is meant to be 16, which I don't think she is. Like what? Like that's and it's funny because in the second volume, was it? Yeah, was it the second volume? In the
That's when
earlier
she's
volume,
introduced.
huh?
She's introduced in volume two. Wait, Catwoman?
I think I'm talking about volume one with Barbara Gordon, the daughter.
Oh, Barbara.
Yeah, and when Barbara Gordon is introduced at the end, she's designing her bat suit
Right.
because she wants to be like Batman. So what Catwoman is wearing here would make more sense in a way for Barbara to make her makeshift. So here it's just like that just doesn't look like something I would see any iteration of Catwoman wear. I mean, the mask that she has, like it. Everything else, what the heck? But okay, that's like my biggest negative of this book is her design choice, much to like the Earth one of Teen Titans, where Slade Wilson looks like I don't know what the hell he was wearing. If you read the book, you know what I mean. But the storyline basically picks up immediately right after volume two. It's still going with the Dent storyline. It's still going with unknown benefactor and people getting access to weapons. Batman is still getting his footing into the character he's supposed to be at the end of this story, where he's still getting his gadgets. He's still getting his we see essence of what the Batcave will be, and he already has a mission. He wants to use Bruce Wayne, the persona, and his resources to help Gotham above, but he also needs Batman to fight the underbelly. and he also says that he can't do it himself. And in this movie, yeah, and in this series, is basically he's not a one man army, and he's not going to be a loner like we know him to be in the early stages of his crime fighting career. Here, we're just fast forwarding to him already creating the equivalent of Batman and the Outsiders or Batman Incorporated. He wants to build the belfry of resources, and the Harvey Dent, the not Harvey Dent, the Harvey Bullock, sorry, the Harvey Bullock character. I like how with every single volume he goes from this pristine, perfect movie star, good looks, to the Harvey Bullock that we already associate with the character, where he's he's a little flabby, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow, and you can tell that he's trying to go to AA, trying, keyword trying.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. Now that's like the most progression of a character development in this series. He's been the most consistent. He's not where we last saw him. He just keeps like, man, he's seen some shit. He's seen some shit, and he's trying to be a good detective, but he just can't seem to be sober enough to do so. And Jim Gordon needs him, and he's trying to get him to work with him. So I think for the most part, there's a lot of twists in here with the Dent storyline. There was a moment where there's like a splash page with Dent in it, where you're thinking, wait, is he? Because in the last book, we're thinking, that he shouldn't be around here because of what happened in volume 2. So when you get that splash, I'm just like, maybe we got it wrong. Maybe it's a twist. No, that's not the twist. There's a twist on top of the twist with Jessica Dent as the character, which at the time when I read it, I'm just like, oh, that's just, and it's pretty tragic. It's very tragic because, for Bruce Wayne is a tragic character. The Batman character is a tragic character. Every time he tries to do one thing, or it feels like there's a trajectory for him to see the light at the end of the tunnel, darkness just finds its way in there all of a sudden, and then it just veers off. It always happens that way. You just think the White Knight is about to come in there, the Dark Knight is going to go sleep, but nope, the White Knight shining is not meant to be. And I think this is a great follow-up, I feel. Do have that negative with some of the designs. And I do like that not only do we follow the Dent storyline, but we also double down on the Arkham family tree, which I kind of also was a little hooked on it, especially when you're trying to figure out the grandfather. Martha's grandfather is a character in this series, and you're thinking to yourself, where the hell did he come from? How? Why? It's like, where's this coming from? And you can, again, even though this is volume 3, you can definitely see where the inspiration came from for Matt Reeves' The Batman. So it's all here. The best blueprint you can find.
Yeah, this is easily my least favorite of the 3. I really didn't like the way the Dent storyline went. I thought, okay, that's kind of out of left field. It's a bit much. The implication that the character has like snapped and developed that condition because of the events of the first 2 books, I thought was a bit much. And the mystery with what's going on with like who's really responsible for the whole Adrian Arkham sort of arriving on the scene. And it's like, yeah, they have the clues there where there's different people. It might be an imposter. And I thought, okay, it's like psychological warfare that Dent was using against Bruce Wayne to try and, slow him down, because Dent knows that, or, at least Jessica Dent knows that, Bruce is Batman. Yeah. And so she's trying to, because we talk spoilers in this, and that's fine. So spoilers, Jessica Dent has dissociative identity disorder, and Harvey Dent isn't back. It's actually her. So it's like, that's the twist, that you're not going to have Harvey Dent Two-Face. It's going to be Jessica Dent. But the implication that the trauma of all the violence in the city, I couldn't take it anymore, my brother's death, and she just developed dissociative identity disorder out of that, I thought was a big leap. And I just wasn't that thrilled. And where are you suddenly getting all the money to truck in all these weapons and buy all this shit from? And we have to blow up the city, because like, really, that's what your plan? You want to blow up the city? And yet again, DID, it's okay, so one side of her wants to destroy Gotham and thinks it's evil. The other side is kind of suppressed for the most part in this story. And yeah, the fact that Clayface is the imposter who we've been following. At first, I was like, okay, why is he in this story? I'm like, oh, okay, so she must have hired him because she needed to wage psychological warfare. But I don't know, it just didn't. That whole Jessica Dent thing and buying all the weapons and trucking it all in, and it just went from like her story. I just felt went from 0 to 100 really quickly, and I just didn't care for that.
You know what's funny? Did you ever read the Earth One Superman books?
No.
I feel that you know how somebody, you know the running gag when you're in school and you ask your mate next to you, "Hey, can I copy off of your homework?" Yeah, but don't make it look obvious.
Mm-hmm.
The Superman books, at least the last volume of the Superman Earth One books came out, had both Alexander Luthor and his sister, uh, Alexandra Luthor. And Lex dies in that series, and then she assumes as the Luthor enemy to Superman. And at the end of that series, she's like, "Oh, and by the way, call me Lex," which is like, really? Come on. But it was they did the swap. They did the swap instead
Yeah.
of going with
Oh, I don't mind
traditional.
having.
They did the
Yeah,
swap,
I don't mind
and then
having a
here
swap. It's just
the same thing. They did the swap.
right, but I don't mind the fact that they swapped it. Just like in the comics, the Harvey Dent is already essentially Two-Face even before he becomes officially Two-Face. Like
Yeah.
the White Knight is on the one hand what he genuinely wants to accomplish, but it's a character that he's playing. Like he is an asshole and he is a hard
Yeah.
ass and through and through. Jessica was not that in the first two books. Like there was nothing hinted, even in the flashbacks when they were younger. So to
I
say
do
that,
agree
oh
with
no,
that. I do agree with that. There was nothing to hint that she had a little bit of the
like
psychology of it. I do agree with that.
right, and for her again,
Because you
it's
could
not
maybe
the
argue that the death of her brother is what made her snap, but I also agree that yeah,
right.
it might have made her snap, but not to this degree.
Yeah, to that degree and having no because obviously with Harvey, I know it's comic books and it gets really exaggerated,
Yeah.
but obviously the severe
You can
damage to
only
his
do
brain.
that so much without being the same. That's the problem.
Right, and obviously with Harvey and the burn injuries, the implication he has severe damage to his brain as well, which is accentuating the already dual personality he already had. Whereas her, it's like, okay, this is an emotional loss you've had, and she seemed very hopeful in part two when she was coming to
My favorite panel
that's great.
right there.
Yeah, that's an awesome panel. And she seemed very hopeful in part two when she was reaching out to Bruce and wanting him to help the city. She certainly
Yeah.
didn't seem like somebody who thought Gotham was on the verge of collapse. Uh, kind of like what we see happen with Harvey Bullock, how he's just completely, like you said, he's seen some shit and he's really washed up and can't take it. But I don't feel Jessica has walked that same mile in Gotham that Harvey Bullock has to suddenly want to destroy the city and all that kind of stuff. It just felt like there wasn't I didn't feel they justified that character direction as much.
Mhm.
Again to go from 0 to 100 so quickly with her
Yeah.
character was a bit
The
much
only
for
way
me.
I would have been okay with that, or hindsight being 2020, is if because there's so much emphasis on mental health in all three volumes of this book,
Yeah,
especially with Martha Wayne's past. It almost feels like when they did those flashbacks of when they were kids, you could maybe have thrown in a panel there or two that someone in the Dent's family was in a psych ward, and you can
yeah.
maybe start planting the seeds of why it's important for Jessica as a philanthropist in a way to work with people in Gotham to treat the people that need mental
I
health
mean,
services. And when you're introducing grandfather Arkham from the series, yeah, there's your hook.
perhaps, but I think Harvey was, you know, so bigoted against Bruce for having, oh, there's crazy in that family that
Yeah,
she would have to know that without, or maybe it'd be something that neither of them knew about, that there were other Dents who had potentially a hereditary mental illness or something. Uh,
because that's the
but
that's the running theme in Gotham with Gotham City. There's always a running theme that Gotham City, for whatever they try to do to make it a better city than it was yesterday, it always eats up the good in people. And that's why you have Batman who has to operate in the shadows, because from within the darkness, he has to find the light.
Well, that's why I said, like, what you're talking about with Harvey Bullock, like, that's one of the best arcs, because I could believe it if Harvey Bullock were somebody who just snap and become a murderous vigilante after everything he's seen. But Jessica, it's like, I don't feel like she's really been down in the grime and the decay of Gotham City to really feel that.
And this is what I mean. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, as for the ending, there's kind of two endings there. One, I was surprised, or it felt like it got into montage mode where he's quickly starting to build the Bat family. And I thought, oh, we're going to race into that. Okay. And then the other ending where the implication is that the Joker is recruiting the Toy Man to go kill a bunch of children. It's like, okay, that'll be a fun story. Maybe kind of like the Riddler story from part 2, which was a fun mystery thing of its own. And so so part 2 is still my favorite of Earth 1 thus far, followed by part 1, and then I put part 3 at the bottom. But the ending, again, it's clear that they wanted to jump ahead to the next iteration of the Bat family for this Earth 1 direction. And I mean, I know that in the past there'd be delays and stuff because the creators are tied up doing other things, but I literally have not heard anything in the 5 years since this was published, or almost 5 years now, that suggests that they're even working on a part 4, or they even intend to come back to it.
Well, they left it on a cliffhanger, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And considering that Jeff Johns hasn't been writing at DC for a while because he went to create his own imprint label at Image Comics, which he's basically making his own Batman characters in kind of like Mad Max meets Gotham City, because if you look at the art style for a lot of those characters, it might as well be Batman in Mad Max territory. But yeah, we do, like you were saying, we do have the tease of the Bat family. The cave is already good to go. You see Barbara Gordon there as Batgirl, and that's a Robin, but whether it's going to be Dick Grayson or another iteration of that character, we don't know yet. What we do know is that not Robin.
Well, they did show the deaths have the Flying Graysons. They alluded to that at the end of the story.
They showed Haley's circus, but that doesn't mean that's Dick Grayson. And again, I'm not saying it can't be. Again, this is a brand new continuity. You can do anything. You can make anybody anyone. It's just that it's been so traditional up until this point that in my head I'm thinking, I mean, it can be Dick Grayson. I'm not saying it's not going to be, but it's just that this is your opportunity to do something new, because we're already doing everything the same. The only other thing that has changed is that Catwoman is more of a team player than cat burglar, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I was looking for the panel that I was going to show, but where is it? Yeah, this is her design. It is not my favorite Catwoman design.
Yeah.
Because the color scheme reminds me of her first bodysuit, where it was like a purple fuchsia and she had like the dark mask with the long jet black curly hair. That character, I like that design. This one, it really felt more like Alice in Wonderland kind of way rather than Catwoman proper. Because you
kind of looks like semi-dominatrixy too.
Exactly, which again, I have no problem with that, but you can keep the mask as something that she stole at an art gallery, and that's like the basis of her costume. But give her something, come on, really? This is why when I saw this, I'm like, oh, sorry, Marcel. This is why when I'm thinking to myself, you're too old to be wearing that. Because I would assume she's in her early 30s when she's doing this. That's why. It's just like, come on, you're too old for that.
Oh, hey, Cam. Welcome to the show. Yep, he just read about the 2 Doctor Who episodes. It will be amazing to see those. Yes, it will.
And then, and then talking about what you were mentioning earlier about we got 2 endings. It's going to be a while until we get to this bloke.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We might never get it either.
Which, by the way, when was the last time we ever saw a Joker with that much of a receding hairline? Jesus Christ.
Right, but I do like
Jack
the
appearance. Had more hair than that.
Yeah.
And he was already balding.
Yeah.
Mandela effect. When I last read this thing, I swear I don't remember him wearing the traditional Joker outfit. I thought he had a pot belly and he was wearing overalls. Not like that's
Mm.
what I remember him designed
Well, it kind
as.
of looks like that.
It kind of looks like that the way he's posing. But I remember when I saw it, I could have sworn I remember him having a pot belly with his belly button sticking out, all pale, and he's got overalls on, and he looks like he's like he came from a trailer park and he's about to costume. Just like, really, that's how you're gonna go with your Joker? But then I'm seeing it again. I'm just like, what the hell was I reading? Why did I think that's what it looked like? Hey, what can you do? So yeah, that is our journey with the Earth One series as far as the Batman is concerned. Will we get that fourth volume follow up? We don't know. I think it's gonna be a while. And I do know that the last time I saw Jeff Johns do anything at least more consistently was when he finished doing the Doomsday Clock storyline that was meshing the DC universe with the Watchmen universe that kind of like was the post rebirth of that era that was restarted in 2016. So anything is possible. I know Gary Frank still does art. It's just that he's getting older, and he even said it once in an interview that is one of the reasons why the Doomsday Clock storyline took as long as it did to come out, because Jeff Johns can write everything quickly and it's good to go because he's always writing multiple stuff. But the artists, most of them that are like the Jim Lees of the world and the Gary Franks of the world, they're taking longer to do art these days than they did back in their prime.
Mm.
And you can't. I always found it frustrating, very frustrating, when I started buying comic books back when the New 52 came out in 2011. I always found it frustrating when you had like what could be considered the best writer, the best comic book artist, the best inker, the best colorist, everything. And for the first 3 or 4 months, the books were coming out, excellent, excellent, excellent. And then the fifth book would take 3 months to come out. 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
It takes you 3 months to get a book ready? At that point, the question is, what's your schedule like? Are you managing your time correctly? Or like, I get that your art is great, but you know the business you're working into. You need to, get this shit going. Like, I'm not expecting you to draw realistic looking things like Alec Ross, but I'm expecting you to come on time, because not only does that kill the momentum of the series, it makes you wonder if you're even worth waiting on sometimes.
Mm.
So yeah, we'll see if we get a volume 4.
Yep, and the next one we're doing, I believe, is the Court of Owls.
Indeed, speaking of the New 52, we're going to jump into the New 52 era of Batman with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Yes.
All 52 issues, all, was it 12 volumes, more or less?
Yes.
Yeah.
And 12 or 13
we'll be starting with the Court of Owls. Yeah.
Yes, volume 1, and that'll be in a couple weeks. Presuming
we need some time to get those books in order.
Yeah, presuming everything works, that'll be March 26th. And then for City of Owls, should be April 9th. So we're on task.
And mind you, Kat has the collective volumes. I have the single issues, which means I have to dig them up. And I have a fun story when we get to do it, to tell you a fun story about issue number 1 of the Court of Owls and what I had to do to get my hands on that motherfucker.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you wanted to cover? We got nothing else in the chat, but thanks Cam Lemon Pie FKH 2005 for showing up here. You got anything else you want to chat about, or?
Yes, I think I do.
Oh yes, I thought we were gonna hold that off until
we can wait.
You want to wait? All right, we can talk about it now.
Yeah,
if you
we
want.
can wait. I really want to build up to it.
All right, we can build up to it and then continue with that. Oh, I guess one thing we could talk about for fun is above the line Oscar predictions for Sunday.
Yeah. Um, I do know that recently there was a bit of a left turn in some of the nomination winning. Michael B. Jordan has suddenly now a front runner favorite. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it might end up, it's either like, because I remember when we were going through, we were discussing the nominations. I don't know if we were doing it live or offline, but I still, I mean, right now, I might consider him, it's either going to be between him or Timothy. But at the time, I still didn't think that. Yeah, I mean, as much as I enjoyed Sinners, and believe me, I enjoyed Sinners, I wasn't getting Oscar vibes from an acting perspective. I was getting Oscar vibes from everything else in the movie. It never once occurred to me to even consider Michael B. Jordan for a nominee, because I'm like, I mean, yeah, we've seen nothing stood out more about his dual characters in that movie for me to be like, oh yeah, I can totally see him be nominated for a best actor. So hey, color me surprised. Now he's a front runner. So now it's gonna probably come down between him and Timothy, and maybe we can get the upset with Wagner Mora as winning. So who knows what's gonna happen there? I think we already know that Jess Buckley is gonna be a lock for best actress unless there's an upset. It's hers to lose. Um, I think it's gonna come down to what I said, one battle after another. And what other movie is gonna probably win Best Picture?
Sinners.
Yeah. So it might be Paul
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 Thomas
Thomas
Anderson
Anderson.
is winning Best Director and
Yeah, I think
Best
it's,
Adapted
it's
Screenplay.
gonna be his year. It's probably gonna be his year, which I'm fine with it. I don't have any problem with that. I don't really have a lot of horses in the race. I just know that I want Buckley to win because I really feel she earned it. I think. Nothing else I'm really gunning for. Honestly, it is what it is, and we can discuss the results after. But I'm not really that invested in who I think should win versus who I think will win. It's it doesn't feel like that kind of Oscar race, if I'm making any sense. Because previous years, I was very invested in a lot of movies that were coming out. This one, I don't know, for whatever reason, the pool of movies that we're looking at that I've at least been able to see, I'm like, it could be anyone, and I'm not gonna be upset one way or another. But I do have my favorites in certain categories. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, there was no single movie that came out last year that I was like, oh, this absolutely has to win Best Picture. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, I've talked about how I felt about Sinners before. I didn't like that it became a From Dusk Till Dawn thing, and then you had to run through the checklist of all the typical vampire shit. Because I thought the first 40 minutes of that movie was exquisite, and I just wanted to see the rest of that movie. Whereas One Battle, it's like it's a bit of a bloated runtime. It doesn't need to be over 2.5 hours long, but it is. Even though it's funny and still fun. Uh, it annoys me. The sentimental value is not going to be available to drop on Hulu until 8 days after the Oscars. So I won't see it, but I'm pretty sure that's going to win international film because it's nominated in so many other categories. Um,
I know it's been playing one Showtime here for 2 weeks now.
oh wow, they
We
played it
released
on
it.
Monday, but it was at a theater like 30 miles away from me, and there was no convenient route to get there because it was part of the
Yeah,
Best Picture series that Regal was doing.
yeah.
Um,
AMC had something similar, and they've been playing all the major awards contenders at least one Showtime a day.
yeah, and
The show times were always changing. Sometimes it was like at 9 in the morning. Other times it was at noon. I'm like, pick one. Just pick, just pick one and stick to it. What the hell?
yeah, and then supporting actress, it's like a toss up. I feel a lot of people on the anonymous Oscar ballot were going Teyana Taylor, but that's anonymous Oscar ballot's kind of a small amount of people. I think it might be Amy Madigan because she's like been in the business a really long time. She actually makes that movie. Um, and then supporting actor, I'm guessing is probably going to be Sean Penn because he's been winning everywhere. Even though I admit I would probably rather see Delroy Lindo or Benicio del Toro get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not. I just don't feel over the moon. I mean, if Paul Thomas Anderson wins, I'll be happy, and yeah, he will. He'll win two of them, but I feel he's made better movies than this. Like not just one or two better, but like a lot better, like several better movies than this to win to be giving his flowers over that. So I don't know. So I guess that we'll see what happens at the Oscars, and we'll briefly go over the results next week.
I'm looking at something real quick before we sign off that I want to comment on. You brought up Paul Thomas Anderson at that point. My thing with Paul Thomas Anderson, and I'm not going to say anything overly negative, and it's really not a negative. It's more of a taste, personal taste on my end, is that the last movie that he did that I genuinely liked, mainly because the way it looked, the performances, was The Master. The last movie he did that I genuinely liked, didn't really care to even give a rewatch or even any attention to Inherent Vice. That movie was losing me. That movie was losing me. I don't know what was going on with me that day. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood. I don't know what, but that movie was not firing. And also, that movie was doing everything to piss me off for whatever reason. I can't explain. I don't. It just is what it is. Maybe maybe a while from now, I'll probably give it a rewatch and we can do like a review just to kind of see how I feel about it years later. But for whatever reason, that was like, 12 years ago. I was like, man, this movie's just not working for me. And then he did Licorice
Phantom
Pizza,
Thread.
right?
No, Phantom Thread next.
Oh yeah. Phantom Thread I liked very much as well. Which I mean, I like the idea that it was basically a love-hate relationship between those two. That, hey, the secret to our loving relationship is that he gets mad at me, I poison him just a little bit, and we're bright as rain. That was pretty much it. But it was also gorgeous. It was just about clothing and stitching. That's like, I never knew white could look so good on film, if that makes sense. Because especially when they had to like stay overnight to redo the dress in that one scene, white never looks so good in a movie. And then Licorice Pizza, there was nothing about that kind of got me. And then by the time the movie came to be released in my area, I'm just like, nah, fuck
I really
it.
like that one too.
I was like, whatever. And then one battle after another felt like the most digestible in a while, basically. Which is funny because that and Begonia, with those two respective directors, I'm just like, yeah, digestible, except until that one did a left turn. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you do that? And this one just like, hey, I liked everything from start to finish.
Well, I feel that I feel that what Yorgos Lanthimos does nothing but left turns in all his movies.
Yes, but at the beginning when he started, when he, even with The Favor, I was okay with it. There was nothing about that movie that just, The Favor, yeah. What did I say? The Favor? Yeah. The Favorite. Missing my words there, Salad. The Favorite, I liked it fine, and then I was okay up until a point with what's her name, with Emma Stone in
Rachel Weisz?
No, not Rachel Weisz.
Or no, Marion Cotillard, Olivia Colman. I can't remember. I keep forgetting who the other actress is in that movie, but Olivia Colman.
Emma Stone in the period piece one where she's reanimated.
Yeah, oh, Poor Things.
Poor Things, yeah, and Poor Things. I was going to call it the discount version of The Bride, basically, because that's what the inspiration for that storyline is. The whole Frankenstein thing in a way. Actually, that's
Poor
what
Things
The Bride
is
was.
Better than The Bride.
I didn't say it wasn't.
You said it was the discount version.
Well, because it's a discount version of The Bride, not the movie we just talked about. I'm talking about The Bride of Frankenstein. It's a discount version of The Bride.
Okay. I thought you meant a discount version of the movie The Bride.
No, I'm talking about The Bride as a character because that's the inspiration for Poor Things, The Bride of Frankenstein, essentially. And what I was about to say is that that's what The Bride was trying to be. It was trying to be Poor Things and wasn't achieving it the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
I technically already have because I haven't really seen anything else that I wanted to see or get around to because it's either not very much available. But if I were to give right now my unofficial top 10, I'll say it right now. And it's in no particular order. So the top 10 movies that I liked from 2025 the most so far, because I haven't seen everything else from last year, is Sinners, Warfare, Bring Her Back, F1, Batman versus the Yakuza League, K-pop Demon Hunters, One Battle After Another, Frankenstein, Hamnet, and No Other Choice.
Yeah, I had also in no particular order for top 10. One Battle After Another, Black Bag, Marty Supreme, Rental Family, Warfare, The Phoenician Scheme, Sinners, The Long Walk, House of Dynamite, and Companion. And honorable mentions went to Good Fortune, Wake Up Dead Man, Eternity, The Running Man, No Other Choice, and then the more pop culture-y, fun, summery type movies like Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible, Predator, Badlands, and yeah.
Yeah. All right. So our lists are not too off from each other. There's some crossover, but there's also like a decent veering of things.
Yeah.
And the thing is that a lot of movies that were supposed to come that came out, I think because of scheduling issues, because there were a lot of movies that I was supposed to see back to back, and I had to cancel my show times because of personal life getting in the way. So I had to like put them on the back burner. But then accessing them after was a pain in the ass because it took weeks, if not months, just to get around to any of the ones that I wanted to see. Even now, I want to see Disclosure. Not Disclosure Day. What's the documentary that came out a couple of months ago about releasing the UFO from the Pentagon? The documentary that came out. Was it Disclosure Day? No, that's not the one.
No, Disclosure Day is a Spielberg movie.
Okay, then what's the one that came? It's a documentary about the declassification of UFO sightings. From the Pentagon.
I don't think I heard about that one.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was on Bill Maher a couple of months ago promoting it, and he was on the Chris Cuomo show, and he was even on CNN and MSNBC promoting the documentary about because there's this one running clip that they keep using in the marketing, and it's when he's interviewing Marco Rubio about UFO sightings, and Marco Rubio tells him that there are things that are classified that even the president or presidents that have come before do not have access to right away. And that's been the hook of that documentary. So that's kind of like one of the selling points that, there are some secret that even the president is not privy to from the Pentagon. Like that kind of gets your attention when it comes to a promo.
Well, it's especially believable right now.
Oh yeah, believable right now because of who's in charge. I'm just saying. Hell, even recently, Obama was in an interview with Brian Tyler Cohen, and he asked them straight up, "Do you believe in aliens, and are aliens real and stuff like that?" And he said, "Yes," and he explains that I believe there is because he kind of went the Neil deGrasse Tyson route of explaining that he doesn't think that we're the only intelligent species in the universe. He feels that there should be other ones, and he does feel that there are aliens, but at the same time he even have to walk back some of the comments he said because there was no confusion in what he was saying, but a lot of people were kind of like, did the president just reveal classified information? And he's like, he had to be like, I didn't say that we had Area 51. No, he basically came from an honest point of like, I think aliens are real, but I'm not giving you my answer based on what I saw or didn't see when I was president of the United States. He just thinks that there are signs of life from other areas. That's all he was trying to say. So when I wanted to see that documentary when it came out, it was like for like $25. I've never heard of a documentary being $25. Like, really? Even just like it wanted me to either purchase it or nothing. I'm like, the fuck I am. lower that shit down. I'm not gonna pay $25 for a documentary. I'm sorry. I don't care how intrigued I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody, Batman show. All right. And that's it. No other comments, nothing we need to address from the chat.
Nope. It looks like everybody, we've covered everything. And I've covered the chat. Nobody else is there.
Before the chat leaves, let's see what Sir Bentley is doing. Hey, buddy. You had a good nap? He's comfortable in his corner, just keeping me company.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And yeah, well,
right.
we're still in timeout.
All right. And we will see you all next week with the exciting conclusion of Ernesto's review of the Silence of the Lambs.
Tales from the Pile.
Yes, coming next week, and with our Oscars roundup and anything else we may have seen until then. I'm Kat, Joe Ernesto. Good night, everybody.